Welcome everyone to our Asset Qualifier and Asset Only program from Newrez. This is the final series in July of our July Firecracker series for non-QM. It's a fast-growing business, non-QM, helping serve a lot of borrowers out there that don't qualify through normal means. So I know we're all excited to have you here, and we want to jump in because this is one of our special programs within our non-QM products under our Smart Edge products called Asset Qualifier. So let's jump into the people that we have on the call. Obviously, myself, Don Chiesa, I'll be hosting. I'm a division manager out west, and so we also have Cecilia Estrada. She's our business development manager, all things non-QM. She does great training and education for all things non-QM with our partners out there. We have Jevin Stafiri on the call. He manages all of our products as well as our underwriting. And I do want to call out that if you look at the bottom in the middle, you do have a Q&A. We welcome you asking as many questions as you want to get answered, and he will be manning them for us. But we do have a special guest as well, Tony Fitzgerald, who comes as a broker owner, First Response Mortgage powered by Empire Financial. We're happy to have him on here. He's had a ton of success with this product. He'll be able to kind of share with you the how and why he's able to make this product work for him and generate more revenue and increase his conversions. And then his AE, Ari Samini, we appreciate you being here and supporting us as well. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Cecilia. Let's jump into this great presentation.
Thank you so much, Don. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Like Don mentioned, it is our last installment for July. So we've saved one of our better products for last. It is our asset-based only product, Asset Qualifier. So for all of the borrowers that you have that maybe are a little bit more cookie cutter, they're those high net worth individuals, and you're trying to find something a little bit more with sizzle, something that is really going to work for them, help them close quickly, help them go through that process so much more smoothly, this is the product to use. If you've got borrowers that have money tucked away, anything, right? Anything personal, retirement, their savings, their investment accounts, this is the product to use. This one's going to help you close very quickly. So Asset Qualifier. Right. So first of all, I do want to mention that, excuse me, this is different than asset depletion or asset dissipation, right? A lot of people wonder about that. And yes, we do have asset depletion and asset dissipation, but that you use it in addition to other income, right? On your other loans, when you're using maybe an agency loan or our bank statement loan, right? Our 1099 loan. Other loans where you've got full doc or you've got any sort of income and you're going to meet a debt ratio, yes, you can always use personal assets that you're not using for the down payment or the reserves. You can use that and deplete them, use it as an additional income stream. The difference with this product, right, and this one's Asset Qualifier, is that this one, you're not going to use any income at all. There's no debt ratio. There's no verification of any type of income. Everything is focused on the assets. We are literally qualifying the borrower on their assets, thus Asset Qualifier. So that very first line tells you really what the gist of this product is. All the stuff that you normally have to go through, the entire process of ordering a VOE, ordering transcripts, all of that is out the window. We're putting that out of the box so that we can focus on what the borrower has been able to save. And we can use a variety of things, right? Anything, again, that's in their personal name, not business assets, just in their personal name. And we've got a little list for you on the right-hand side at the bottom of all the assets that are eligible to be used. And there's a percentage listed there of what you can use from that balance. So let's just say you have a savings account with maybe $100,000 in there. You can use 100% of that personal savings. But let's say that you've got a 401k and you're maybe 40, 45 years old, right? It says there, if you're younger than 59 and a half, you're going to use 50% of that balance. So if your 401k has 250, you're going to use half of that, 125,000, right? So it gives you those percentages that's what you're allowed to use with this particular product. So again, it is going to be for your higher net worth individuals. Also, we are looking for people that have a certain quota that they can meet, right? So 100,000 doesn't get you through this product, or not even 200,000. It's got to be a little bit more than that. If you focus on number 5, it gives you that number. That quota is 500,000. So about $500,000 will get you through the door on this product, on this asset qualifier. But before we get to the quota, you want to make sure that your borrower has all the other little things that they've got to meet, right? So, for example, number 2, you'll see there, we're looking at the down payment. For this product on any purchase, we need 20%. And even if you were going to do a refinance, which we do allow rate and term refinances, we're looking at about a 20% equity factor, which is 80% LTV, right? So that down payment for a purchase, 20%. We want to make sure that your borrower has that secured, and that's separate from the quota that we need to meet, from the $500,000 that we're looking for, right? And really what we're going to do here is we're going to structure a little budget for our borrower, really, just to make sure that they can pay for all of their expenses, all of their obligations for the next 5 years. We're not looking at income, remember, we're not qualifying them based on their pay stubs or W-2s. So we really don't know what they earn, but we do know that they've got enough saved away that they can actually stay on budget for about the next 5 years. So that 500,000 should help them to stick to paying their new mortgage, whatever they have on their credit report, if they've got car payments, credit cards, and of course, personal expenses that people usually have, right? Utilities, groceries, stuff like that. So we do a little budget, and we get that 500,000, and we basically split it over 5 years. We split it over 60 months. And then from there, we know we've got to cover those 3 things, which we've listed there at the very bottom on number 7. We've got to cover that new mortgage payment. We've got to cover everything listed on the credit report, all of their obligations, right? So if they pay child support, if they pay alimony, you want to include that in there. And you want to include at least a bare minimum of $2,000, which people sometimes call residual, but we also call it personal expenses. And that's just to cover anything under the sun, right? Their cell phone payment, like we said, utilities, things like that. If they can cover all those 3 things in those 5 years with that money, then they are eligible, they qualify, right? So the 500,000 is the bare minimum just to get in. But if they have more, then of course it's going to work even better. They're going to qualify for a bigger home, a more expensive home, or maybe they have more debt, right? So they're going to qualify a little bit more. But that is the entire focus of this product, is eliminating what we usually go for, which is the income, and focusing just on their assets, what they've been able to save up. Now, we have one of our great account executives here, Ari, and I know he uses this asset qualifier product quite a bit. So Ari, what are some of the things that you focus on when you're looking at a borrower for this particular product?
Yeah, thanks, Cecilia. And I think you did a pretty good job of explaining how the product works. But overall, this is one of my favorite products by far. There's no income, there's no DTI, no employment. So it makes it easier through that sense, and no draws or liquidation required. And it's just assets, strictly assets versus liabilities. And it really, this product empowers your clients to borrow easily, and you're part of that easy process with them. To be honest, it's a near perfect closing ratio. It's designed for individuals who fit the box, and if they do, it's an overall easy loan. And a lot of times I say, I know it's too good, it sounds too good to be true, but it's actually true.
But it's
And
actually true.
what I encourage most LOs to do today is spend 15 to 30 minutes to go over this product, call your AE, set up a time, and let them simplify it for you. It's a lot easier than it sounds. Me and my LOs work on this product daily, and it's just once it clicks, it becomes that much easier.
Yes. And I'm glad that you mentioned that. about simplifying it because we are actually going to make it a little bit simpler for you. So you can see everything that we're looking at here, right? We're looking at a 20% down payment, primary or second home, and you need to have that 500,000 aside, separate, right, from the 20% down payment. And then we want that to cover those three things that we listed there at the bottom. But if you're really wondering, well, how does it actually work? How can I actually put it into practice? We've got a little example for you here, okay? So on the right-hand side, we've listed out a scenario where a borrower is actually selling their current home, right? They're selling their current home and they're gonna net back about 150,000 from the sale of that home. So they can actually take that money and use it back for the down payment on the new property. The new home is going to cost about 750,000. And then aside from that, they've got about $300,000 in their savings and 250 in an IRA. Okay. And this borrower happens to be 60 years of age. They don't have any dependents. They don't have anyone coming on the loan with them. It's just this one person, right? So on the left column, you'll see everything that he has, everything that we've listed. And on the right-hand column is what he's going to be able to use from everything that's listed. So that $150,000 that he's getting back from his home, he's going to be able to turn right back around, go to that title or escrow company and put that money back in for his down payment. That's going to cover his 20% down, right? The savings, we've listed it. Remember, you can use 100% of anything in the bank. So checking, savings, you can use 100% of it. Now the IRA, that's where we were going to have to trim it a little bit, right? So we're going to take that 250 and just give it a small trim to 85%, right? We're cutting off 15% of it just because it is an IRA. We don't want to deplete it all the way, right? So we're going to use 85% of that. And then we're totaling that up, what he has available. Now that 150, remember, that's going straight to the down payment. So we're not going to count that into the 500. We're just looking at what's after that, right? So that's that 300 and that 212. That's 512, 512,500. We're going to take that and split it over the 5 years, which is 60 months. And that gives us a new monthly budget of 8541. And really what we want to make sure is that those three things that we listed can all fit within that budget. So those three things are, number one, the new mortgage payment that we've got. Let's just say it's about $4,800, right? With taxes and insurance included. And if it's a condo, make sure you're including the HOAs as well. And then any credit liabilities or personal obligations, right? So whatever's on their credit report, all the credit card payments, all the car payments, student loans, everything that's on there. We're going to list all of that. We've got about 1740 there. And then remember, we've got to count a minimum of $2,000 that he'll have for his personal expenses, right? To cover, they want to pay for their Netflix app or their cell phone or their car insurance, right? All the little things that we don't see, but we know people pay for. So we're going to add all of that up, subtract it from that 8541, and there was enough left, right? Because there's $1.67 left over, right? Not much of a budget, but remember, you've got that $2,000 that you can use. So this borrower is automatically eligible. What this tells us really is that we are working at 100% debt ratio, not a 45 or 43 or a 50%. We are working at 100%, meaning all we really want to make sure is that we can 100% cover the expenses for those 5 years and you're good. You don't have to have anything extra left over. So Tony, I think with your borrowers, what you're really looking for is that empowerment that Ari was talking about, right? Empowering them to be able to close faster. I know that you mentioned that this is also one of your favorite products. Tell us a little bit about how you use it.
So, yeah, I became a broker in May of last year, and I did 6 million in this loan in 4 different loans.
Wow.
And it's a tool that I use to. So far today, 5 loans I've closed in this. I've got 2 more that are, one's active now and one we're putting in, but I've already done almost $1 million this year in this loan. So the average loan size on that for me, and here's why I'm going with this. you guys got to think big. The average loan size on this is 1.4 million for me. I don't know what the average loan size is for Newrez, but I'm not finding that every $350,000 loan is the best option for this. But when you start looking at people like, if someone says, hey, do you do bridge loans? You want to think about this loan. Bridge loans are expensive. You might not actually get the end deal. You can go borrower paid on this so that they can pay it if they're going to sell their house. They can pay it off in 7 payments. They can do that. So what I've found is I ask the question, well, what do you guys have for investment assets? And if I know that after closing, they're going to have 500K or more or less, this product works. Okay. So I kind of, all these numbers are the technical thing to think about, but the reality is, do they have over 500K assets after they close? That is someone you might potentially want to use. Are they not making enough standard income that you need to use this? Because even at 500K, you can really help people get more income. And when you think about this, divided by 60, that's actually their monthly income after haircuts, right? So the other thing, last year, I had a friend come back to me for a second mortgage, second time, and he was wanting to buy a $5.1 million home, and he had to sell a 4.2. And obviously 500K is not going to cut it, but I asked him what his assets were, and he had 12 million in assets. And he has a lot of expenses. So we took his expenses, you put the time for 2 people, it's $2,500 residual income. And you add all that together, you times it by 60. If his assets are enough to cover that, you're good to go. So he got to keep his 4.2 and sell it later on this program. This is a program that you can price really well. So we did the largest loan amount. We actually asked for an exception last year. We did the largest loan amount on this at $3 million. So that was the largest loan amount in Newrez and the largest loan amount at Empire. Another great way to use it. So that's the best way to use it. Also, when clients are really beat up, they've got a deal going south. Their income is that you're stealing it from another lender. That was another one that we did. The other lender didn't love their income. They were so beat up, they didn't really want to stay in it. And we just went to this program for ease because he had plenty of money. That one was a $1.2 million loan. We had another gentleman call up and says, hey, give me your best rate on jumbo loans. And I did. I found the best rate out there for jumbo loans. He didn't really want to talk to me until I gave him that. And then I found out that he makes no income, but he had 30 million in the bank. I'm like, hey, I got an alternative. You can't get the best rate, but you can get this program and we can do it quickly and easily. So we did that one. Now, I like to consider this at 100% DTI. Even though it's not DTI, I like to consider it at 100% DTI because as long as 60 months of their assets, you could be $1 more in assets than their expenses. Mm-hmm. I had a guy that was a retired firefighter. I'm a firefighter. I was a firefighter for 28 years, so I serve a lot of firefighters and veterans. I had a guy that was retiring from New York City. He retired, and guess what? He got a divorce. What do you think happened to his pension? 50% to his wife. So he's immediately at 50% DTI. He came to me before I was a broker, and I could not help him. Could not help him. There was no program out there that I could help him with. As a matter of fact, he even went to a friend of mine, and we discussed that. We found out we had the same client trying to do this, and we couldn't. But as soon as I found out about this program, I reached back out to him, and I realized that we could do it because it doesn't matter if it's 50% income. He had a really good retirement, and he had really good assets. And that loan was only $332,000. He wasn't looking for the Taj Mahal, but we were able to help him when he could not get a loan otherwise. Another one, just recently, the most recent one, someone that obviously they found a house before they want to sell theirs. They have plenty of assets, and we're going with that one. We're submitting that one in there. We had that's really it. I mean, every time you think you see a high DTI on a client. Sometimes they're going to just give you the necessary assets. Always remember to ask, do you have any other investments, IRAs, 401ks that you didn't tell me about? Because this is definitely an option to save a deal, to go steal some deals, because there are people out there right now failing a contract right now because they don't know about this program. So there are people out there that you can help right this second. As a matter of fact, when I get off this, I'm going to put a social media post about it again because it is, again, my favorite program. So yeah, I mean, it's easier too, because all you need, and this is so easy, all you need is the most recent month statement and one from 6 months ago. That's it.
Exactly.
And then, I mean, and
Boom, bada boom.
whatever documents for like their liabilities, their HOA, their insurance, taxes, those are the kind of things, or pity, and whatever they come in for their monthly debts.
Yes.
It's a great loan. And again, by the end of next month, I'll have closed 8 million, maybe 8.5 million in this loan. And I've just been a broker for a year. One
Wow.
loan product.
That is definitely impressive, Tony. You've really taken this product and just ran with it and made it your own. I love that. I love that. And I love that comparison to bridge loans, right? Just giving us that idea of, hey, if this is what they're asking you for, you can use this one instead.
I
That's
think there were a
something that
couple of great things in there to say that I just want to kind of make sure I retouch on because you covered so much there. But the loan sizes are great, Tony. But then I also heard you helped out a firefighter in a lower loan amount. So don't always just think that this is a program only for the larger loan sizes. It can meet and benefit a lot of clients that may have different challenges that you run across.
Yeah, especially with alimony and assets. Alimony and assets think this program, right? If they're paying alimony and they got assets.
And then the
But
other thing that I want to go ahead.
I also want to, like, the reason why I said 1.2, that was never an average loan size for 8 loans for me until I had this program. So that's what I'm saying. So people can actually increase their loan size too if they're really start getting into that jumbo market that people are not tapping into. So, but you're right. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to make sure that that's why I said that loan
And as you
amount.
move up in the higher loan sizes, I'm assuming you can attract just a whole different level of realtors as well that are wanting the bigger loan sizes that don't have a home or have more challenging borrowers that just need these alternative income type of loans. But one of the other things you said, and I think it's interesting because borrowers frequently only want to provide you the assets that they're using on the transaction. And you made the statement that you need to really ask them, do you have any other assets? Because if you don't get that question out, they may not want to share with you all the assets they have because they don't plan on using them in the transaction. And it's super important if you want to be able to take advantage of products like this.
exactly.
100%.
Thanks.
And with that, when you mention the fact that, hey, if you show me everything you have in terms of your assets, what you've been able to save, remember, we're not going to have to collect any of your taxes. You don't have to worry about getting a P&L if you're self-employed or a letter from your CPA. I'm also not going to have to work on any income conditions, right? I don't have to order transcripts or verify any of that. That is probably, for me, the best feature about this product is that since you're not dealing with income, you don't have any of the income conditions or the red tape that usually holds you back and adds a little bit more time to you closing that loan. You're getting it closed so much faster because you're bypassing, you're jumping that, right? And not doing any of the traditional stuff. You're skipping the line and going straight to the front, straight to the closing table. That's why we say this one is really like a fast track or a fast pass, because just 2 months of asset statements, a current one from 6 months ago, and boom, you're able to get to that closing line, right?
Yeah, it's fast. And also, those customers with those pain points, you're typically these higher net worth individuals.
Yeah.
You're just getting their assets right from their financial advisors. So it even makes it easier for them. You just have them connect you and give them permission. And
Exactly.
man, it's like a hands-off loan for them.
You're right about that. They don't even have to provide that for you, right? If you have access to the financial advisor, you just get it from them. Yeah.
This is
Absolutely.
a great product to advertise to your financial advisors because none of the debts can have to be encumbered. Like if they were, here's the pain point for financial advisors. If Chase Go grabs their loan, they're going to take all their assets away from you. So this is something to advertise to your financial advisors that helps them. Here, I got a way for your clients to get a loan, and it keeps their assets with you.
Exactly. That's a great point, Tony. Absolutely. Absolutely. They don't have to actually liquidate it in order to use it to qualify. Great point. Now we have this example here for you where we listed everything out, right? And we wrote it all out. And you're probably wondering, well, okay, that's great, but I don't actually know how to work all these numbers. We actually have a really neat little tool. It's a worksheet where you can take those numbers and just plug them in, and the worksheet will do the work for you, right? So you'll see they're listed at the top. We listed all of the assets that our borrower had in that example, the money that they're getting back for the sale of their home, right? What they have in the savings, what they've got in the IRA. We've listed all those assets. And then here at the bottom in the comment section, we actually filled out the scenario for this loan. So we see the purchase price. All of this is exactly what we had in that example in the previous slide. We listed what their new mortgage payment is going to be, right? That $4,800, their credit debt, that $1,741. We go back to that previous slide, we see that their total assets, once it was trimmed down, was $512, right? And then after we deducted everything, they had $1.67 left. We're going to follow those exact same numbers on the worksheet. You'll see here the net post-closing assets where the green arrow is, that 512 is listed there, right? After the trim, after that down payment, that's what was left over. That's your quota that you have to meet at least the 500,000, and this borrower has that. And then they are eligible, the loan qualifies, right? And you'll see here we met that residual or that personal expenses of the 2,000, and there was that $1.67 extra. So this worksheet, all you do is plug in those little numbers and it'll tell you. In green, it says it qualifies. If it's red, it doesn't qualify, right? And you can change those numbers around. You can increase your payment or reduce your loan amount. The assets that you have, you can plug more in just to make sure that you're meeting that eligibility criteria. So this worksheet, we have it available. When you want to use this product, all you have to do is reach out to your account executive and they will help you fill this out. It's super easy. You just plug it in and it will do the calculation for you. Okay. Now we have our underwriting VP, Jevin, here. I know he's been answering questions on the chat. Jevin, is there anything specific that has come up quite a bit that you want to address?
Nothing consistently, but I've also, I don't think I've ever been this quiet for 30 minutes in one call. But one thing I wanted to hit on here is when you provide us the asset statements, I don't want 6 months of bank statements. I want today and 6 months ago. Don't give us, I know some lenders require all 6 months. We don't want to see all that information in those 6 months. So just get me 6 months ago and today. And kind of what we're looking at there was a question about large deposits in the chat, is we're looking at the gross balance of all of the assets 6 months ago versus today. I'm saying today, the most recent statement, right? And looking to see if that makes sense, right? So large increase, we might need to see what happened there, right? But something that could be the market, and we'll even look at that, like, oh, we know the market was up for that 6 months. So that makes sense. And it went up $200,000 versus the market went down, but your assets went up 500K. Something happened here and we'll have to investigate, but we use common sense there when looking at those balances in a gross fashion.
Exactly. And one of the things that we look for, just so everyone's aware, for those big changes is we want to make sure that the borrower didn't get a gift, right? Because all of the assets here do have to belong to the borrower. We don't allow gift for this particular product. We want all that money to be something that they've saved. And so we're looking at that span of 6 months to make sure that they have been saving that money themselves, right? So again, if there are increases due to the market, that's absolutely acceptable. If there was a deposit that they made, we want to know, was that transferred from another personal account? Is that business money? Was that a gift? That's where we might have to ask you about it. So, but we do only want those 2 statements a current one, and one from 6 months ago. All right. So anyone else, anything else you want to mention before we end our presentation today? All right. So remember, this product, Asset Qualifier, is focusing on those high net worth individuals who have those personal accounts, right? Those Charles Schwab or Dean Witter, where they're stacking money, a savings, a checking, their pension, their 401k or IRA, right? Any personal savings, we're focusing on those assets instead of their income, instead of a debt ratio. We're just looking at the assets. We want to make sure we can meet that quota. And again, we've got this handy dandy little tool here where we will plug in your numbers and let you know if the borrower is eligible. So this is a very quick and easy process for us to get done. It's also a very quick close for your borrowers. All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. We really appreciate your time. Make sure you reach out to your account executives, talk to them about the non-QM products that we have today. Again, we focused on Asset Qualifier, but we've got a lot in our arsenal. You want to make sure you take a look. Have a great month end as well, and stay tuned for our next webinar in August.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Ari. And as always, Jeff and Cecilia, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Very
Don.
helpful for
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Take
Thank
care.
you, guys.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.